Welcome to the channel, The Coin Lore Vault. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle Washington quarters every single day, tossing them into vending machines, using them for laundry, or simply spending them without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific quarter from 1980 could be worth a staggering $12,000? Yes, you heard that right. $12,000 for a coin that most people would never look at twice. This isn't some ancient treasure pulled from a shipwreck or a gold coin locked away in a museum vault. This is a Washington quarter minted in Philadelphia in 1980, and it's hiding value that could change your life. Now, before you dismiss this as impossible, let me tell you exactly why collectors are willing to pay thousands for this seemingly ordinary coin. And trust me, once you understand what makes this quarter so special, you'll be checking every coin that passes through your hands. The 1980p Washington quarter was produced in massive quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, with over 635 million pieces struck that year alone, which means these coins flooded into circulation and became part of everyday transactions across America. Under normal circumstances, a common 1980p quarter in average circulated condition is worth exactly its face value. 25 cents, nothing more, nothing less. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Among those hundreds of millions of quarters, a tiny fraction were struck with such perfection, such flawless detail, and such pristine condition that they've become the holy grail for serious collectors. We're talking about coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, coins so perfect that even under intense magnification, they show virtually NO imperfections, NO bag marks, NO contact wear, and NO environmental damage whatsoever. These are coins that somehow survived the minting process, the counting machines, the rolling equipment, and decades of potential circulation without picking up even the slightest flaw. The odds of finding one are astronomical, which is exactly why collectors go absolutely crazy when one appears at auction. In fact, a pristine MS-68 example sold for over $12,000 at a major numismatic auction, and experts believe that an MS-69 specimen, if one even exists, could fetch double that amount or more. Think about that for a moment. A coin minted just 45 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled, could be worth more than a used car, more than a year's rent, more than most people's savings accounts. But what makes a coin achieve such a high grade? Well, it's all about the details. Grading companies examine every millimeter of the coin's surface, looking at George Washington's portrait for sharpness and full strike, inspecting the eagle on the reverse for complete feather definition, checking the fields, those flat areas between the designs, for any marks or scratches, and evaluating the overall eye appeal and luster. A coin that grades MS-67 must have absolutely full luster, razor-sharp details, and only the most microscopic imperfections that are barely visible even at 5x magnification. Anything above that? We're talking museum-quality perfection. Now here's what makes this even more exciting. Stick with me because I've got two more coins coming up that will absolutely blow your mind. Coins that take this value to even higher levels. Coins that prove pocket change can genuinely rewrite your financial future. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next. But back to our 1980p quarter, where do these high-grade specimens come from? Most were never released into circulation at all. They were pulled aside by mint employees, saved in original mint sets, or carefully preserved by collectors who recognized their potential early on. Some were stored in bank rolls that sat untouched in vaults for decades, protected from the wear and tear of commerce. Others were found in estate sales, inherited collections, or even old dresser drawers where someone's grandfather stashed his pocket change years ago. The key factor is preservation. Even a single fingerprint from 1980 could prevent a coin from achieving a top grade today, which is why serious collectors use cotton gloves and handle coins only by their edges. Environmental factors matter too. Humidity can cause toning or spotting, temperature fluctuations can affect the metal surface, and even the way coins are stored can make the difference between a 25-cent quarter and a $12,000 treasure. If you're wondering whether you might have one of these valuable quarters, here's what to look for. First, check the date. It must read 1980 with a small P mint mark, though Philadelphia didn't consistently use mint marks during this era, so many 1980 quarters from Philly actually have no mint mark at all. Second, examine the coin's condition carefully under good lighting. Does it have full original luster? that bright silvery shine that makes it look almost new? Are Washington's hair details crisp and fully defined? Does the eagle on the back show every single feather sharply struck? Are the fields mirror-like and free from scratches? If your quarter looks like it just came from the mint, you might have something special. Of course, the only way to truly know is to have it professionally graded, which costs around $30 to $50 per coin, but that's a small investment if you're holding a potential $12,000 payday. Remember, the coin market is driven by rarity and condition, and even among the 635 million quarters minted in 1980, fewer than 100 have ever been certified at the MS67 level or higher, making them exceptionally rare in the world of modern coins. And here's something that'll really get your heart racing. What if you found 2 or 3 of these perfect specimens? That's not impossible if you inherited an old mint set or found an original bank roll. But hold on tight, because the 1980 P quarter is just the beginning. Stay tuned, because the next coin I'm about to reveal will take this treasure hunt to an entirely new level of excitement and value. Next, the 1988 P Washington quarter. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, or at least a very nice used car, because tucked away in pocket change, old coin jars, and forgotten collections across America are 1988 P Washington quarters that could be worth an absolutely mind-blowing $13,500. That's right, we've just jumped from $12,000 to $13,500 for a quarter that was minted less than 40 years ago. A coin that millions of people touched, spent, and never thought twice about. Now, if you thought the 1980 P quarter was impressive, the 1988 P takes everything to the next level. And here's why collectors are absolutely obsessed with finding these pristine specimens. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 562 million Washington quarters in 1988, flooding the market with these coins that became part of everyday commerce throughout the United States. Used in parking meters, vending machines, laundromats, and cash registers from coast to coast. Under normal circumstances, a typical 1988 P quarter in circulated condition is worth exactly 25 cents, but among those hundreds of millions of coins, there exists a microscopic population of quarters so perfectly preserved, so flawlessly struck, and so immaculately maintained that they've achieved grades of MS67 Plus and MS68, catapulting their value into the stratosphere. An MS68 example of the 1988 P Washington quarter has sold for over $13,500 at major numismatic auctions, and coin experts believe that if an MS69 specimen were ever discovered and certified, it could potentially fetch $25,000 or more, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters in existence. Think about the insanity of that. A coin minted during the Reagan administration, a coin that could have bought you a newspaper or a phone call from a payphone back in the day, now commanding the price of a brand new motorcycle or a substantial down payment on a house. But what makes the 1988 P quarter particularly special compared to other years? It comes down to several fascinating factors that numismatists have studied intensively. First, the quality control at the Philadelphia Mint in 1988 was somewhat inconsistent, meaning that while millions of coins were produced, the percentage of coins with truly exceptional strikes was lower than in some other years, making high-grade specimens even more rare. Second, 1988 was not a year when collectors were particularly focused on saving modern quarters in pristine condition. The coin collecting market was more interested in older silver quarters and era coins, which means fewer people were carefully preserving 1988 P quarters in protective holders or mint-sealed packaging. Third, and this is crucial, the coin composition had changed from silver to copper-nickel clad in 1965, and by 1988, the dyes and production methods sometimes created weakness in certain areas of the design, particularly in Washington's hair details and the eagle's breast feathers, making fully struck examples extraordinarily scarce. When professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate these quarters, they're looking for absolute perfection. And I mean perfection in every sense of the word. The coin must display full cartwheel luster, that mesmerizing rotating shine that appears when you tilt a pristine coin under light. Every detail of George Washington's portrait must be razor-sharp, from the individual hair strands to the subtle features of his face, from the crisp lettering of Liberty to the precise date stamping. The reverse must show complete feather definition on the eagle, with each feather on the wings and tail fully separated and deeply struck, the arrows and olive branch perfectly rendered, and the motto E pluribus unum boldly visible. The fields, those flat background areas, must be absolutely free of contact marks, bag marks, scratches, or any kind of environmental damage like spotting, toning, or oxidation. Even the edge must be examined for dings or imperfections. A coin that achieves MS67 Plus or MS68 status is literally 1 in millions, perhaps even 1 in tens of millions when you consider how many 1988 P quarters were made versus how many have achieved these elite grades. Now, before I reveal our final and most spectacular coin, and trust me, you absolutely do not want to miss what's coming because it will leave you speechless. Let me tell you where these high-grade 1988 P quarters are being discovered today. Unlike the rare error coins or ancient treasures that require years of searching, these modern gems are turning up in the most unexpected places. Some have been found in original mint sets that were purchased in 1988 and stored away in closets or attics for decades. Never opened, never examined, just forgotten until an estate sale or family inheritance brought them back to light. Others have been discovered in bank rolls, those paper-wrapped rolls of quarters that banks distribute, where someone decades ago withdrew fresh coins from the bank, rolled them up, and stuck them in a safe deposit box or home safe, preserving them in near-perfect condition. There are documented cases of collectors finding these valuable quarters in old piggy banks, in jars of change inherited from grandparents, and even in collections that were assembled by casual hobbyists who didn't realize what they had. The storage environment is critical to preservation. Coins kept in dry, temperature-controlled spaces with minimal handling survive in much better condition than those exposed to humidity, temperature fluctuations, or frequent touching. Fingerprints from human skin contain oils and acids that can damage a coin's surface over time, which is why serious collectors always use cotton gloves and hold coins by their edges, never touching the faces. If you're searching your own collection or inherited coins for a valuable 1988 P quarter, here's your checklist. First, verify the date clearly shows 1988 and look for either a small P mint mark or no mint mark at all, since Philadelphia's marking practices varied. Second, examine the coin under bright, direct lighting. Does it have brilliant, untouched luster that makes it shine like it just came from the mint? Third, use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect Washington's hair. Can you see individual hairlines sharply defined, or is the detail soft and mushy? Fourth, flip the coin over and examine the eagle's feathers with magnification. Are they fully separated and deeply struck, or do they blend together? Fifth, check the fields for any marks, scratches, or imperfections. Even a tiny nick could drop the grade significantly. If your 1988 P quarter looks absolutely flawless, like it's never been touched or spent, you owe it to yourself to have it professionally graded. The grading fee typically ranges from $30 to $75 depending on the service level, but that's an incredibly small price to pay if you're potentially holding $13,500 in your hands. Remember, fewer than 50 examples of the 1988 P Washington quarter have ever been certified at the MS68 grade level, making them rarer than many coins from the 1800s. The combination of high original mintage but extremely low survival rate in top condition creates the perfect storm for collector demand and skyrocketing values. But now, get ready, because what I'm about to share with you next is the ultimate Washington quarter discovery. A coin that takes everything we've discussed and amplifies it to absolutely shocking levels. The final coin in our trilogy will leave you checking every quarter you own. Next, the 1989 P Washington quarter. It looks like any other penny. Wait, scratch that. It looks like any other quarter, but appearances are deceiving, because what I'm about to reveal will make you understand why this particular coin represents the holy grail of modern Washington quarter collecting. A coin so valuable that a single specimen has sold for an absolutely astronomical $18,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $18,000 for a quarter minted just 36 years ago. A coin that could still be hiding in circulation, tucked away in old collections, or sitting forgotten in a drawer somewhere in your own home. This is the grand finale of our Washington quarter trilogy, and it's the most shocking, most valuable, and most sought after of them all, proving once and for all that modern pocket change can genuinely rewrite your financial future and turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary treasure discovery. The 1989 P Washington quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint with a total mintage of approximately 512 million coins, making it slightly less common than our previous 2 years, but still representing a massive production run that sent these quarters flowing into every corner of American commerce. They bought candy bars, paid for bus fares, filled parking meters, and clinked through cash registers in every state, seemingly ordinary and unremarkable. Yet among those half-billion coins lurks a population so infinitesimally small, so incredibly rare in top condition, that discovering one is like winning the lottery. An MS-68 graded 1989 P Washington quarter has commanded prices up to $18,000 at prestigious numismatic auctions, and the coin community believes that an MS-69 example, if one even exists in the known universe, could potentially shatter records and sell for $35,000 or more, making it the single most valuable copper-nickel-clad Washington quarter ever minted. The reason for this explosive value comes down to a perfect storm of factors that collectors and investors have analyzed obsessively. First, the year 1989 represented a period when the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing particular challenges with die quality and striking pressure, resulting in an unusually high percentage of weakly struck coins with soft details, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's breast feathers, which means that fully struck examples are exceptionally scarce. Second, 1989 was not a popular year for collectors to purchase mint sets or save rolls of uncirculated quarters. The numismatic market was focused elsewhere, on commemorative coins and precious metals during this period, leaving fewer 1989 P quarters preserved in pristine condition compared to some other years. Third, and this is absolutely critical, the copper-nickel-clad planchets used in 1989 were particularly susceptible to developing contact marks during the minting and bagging process, as coins tumbled against each other in large bins and bags before distribution, creating tiny nicks and scratches that disqualify them from achieving elite grades decades later. When PCGS or NGC examines a 1989 P quarter for grading, they apply the most rigorous standards imaginable, scrutinizing every microscopic detail under intense magnification and specialized lighting. The coin must exhibit full blazing luster with that characteristic cartwheel effect that creates rotating bands of light as you tilt the coin. George Washington's portrait must be struck with complete sharpness. Every hair strand visible and separated, every facial feature deeply impressed into the metal, every letter of liberty, and every digit of 1989, bold and crisp with no weakness whatsoever. The reverse design demands perfection as well. The eagle's feathers must be fully defined with complete separation between each individual feather on both wings and the tail. The arrows clutched in the left talon and olive branch in the right must show sharp, clear details, and the ribbon with E pluribus unum must be perfectly legible. The fields surrounding these designs must be absolutely pristine, showing no bag marks, no contact marks, no hairlines from improper cleaning, no spotting from environmental exposure, no toning that detracts from eye appeal, and no evidence of handling or circulation whatsoever. Even the coin's edge receives inspection for dings, dents, or damage. To achieve an MS-68 grade, a coin must be so close to absolute perfection that even experienced numismatists struggle to find any flaws, and the population reports from major grading services reveal just how rare these specimens truly are. Fewer than 30 examples of the 1989 P Washington quarter have ever been certified at the MS-68 grade level, and 0 have achieved MS-69, making this coin rarer in top condition than many historic rarities from the 19th century. Think about the magnitude of that scarcity. 512 million coins minted, yet only about 30 have survived in MS-68 condition, representing a survival rate of approximately 0.000006%, which means you'd have to search through roughly 17 million quarters to find just one that qualifies. The value trajectory of high-grade 1989 P quarters has been absolutely phenomenal over the past decade, with prices climbing steadily as more collectors recognize the extreme rarity and desirability of these modern condition rarities. Just 10 years ago, an MS-67 example might have sold for $2,000 to $3,000, but today those same coins routinely bring $5,000 to $8,000. While MS-68 specimens have skyrocketed from around $8,000 to the current record of $18,000. Market analysts predict that as the registry set competition intensifies, where collectors compete to assemble the finest possible sets of coins, the demand for top-grade 1989 P quarters will only increase, potentially pushing values even higher in coming years. So where are these incredible treasures being discovered in the real world? The stories are fascinating and prove that anyone, anywhere could make a life-changing find. Some MS-68 specimens have emerged from original 1989 mint sets that were purchased directly from the U.S. Mint, sealed in their original packaging, and stored in climate-controlled environments for over 3 decades. Never opened until recently when an heir or collector decided to have the contents professionally graded. Others have been found in bank-wrapped original rolls from 1989, acquired by collectors or investors who obtained fresh rolls directly from banks shortly after minting and preserved them untouched for decades. There are documented cases of valuable 1989 P quarters discovered in estate sales, where the deceased collector had carefully saved pristine coins in protective holders but never had them graded. Some have turned up in old safe deposit boxes, forgotten storage units, and even in collections passed down through families where nobody realized the potential value. The key to preservation is environment and handling. Coins stored in areas with stable temperature and low humidity, protected from air exposure in sealed holders, and never touched with bare hands have the best chance of maintaining their pristine condition. If you're now frantically checking your own quarters, and you absolutely should be, here's the ultimate verification checklist for identifying a potentially valuable 1989 P quarter. First, confirm the date reads 1989 with either a small P mint mark or no mint mark, as Philadelphia's practices varied. Second, hold the coin under bright lighting and observe whether it displays full, brilliant luster with no dullness or cloudiness. It should shine like a mirror in the fields and have frosty luster on the raised designs. Third, use at least 5x magnification to examine Washington's hair in detail. You should be able to count individual hairlines, especially above his ear and at the back of his head, with no areas of weakness or mushiness. Fourth, carefully inspect the eagle on the reverse with magnification. Count the feathers and verify that each one is distinctly separated from its neighbors, with no areas where feathers blend together or lack detail. Fifth, scan the entire surface of both sides for any imperfections. Even a single tiny mark in the field could drop the grade from 68 to 67 or lower, and that represents a difference of thousands of dollars in value. Sixth, check for original mint luster and color. The coin should have its original silvery gray appearance with no artificial toning, cleaning marks, or discoloration. If your 1989 P quarter passes all these tests and looks absolutely perfect to your eye, professional grading becomes not just worthwhile but potentially essential, because you might be holding the equivalent of a new car, a year of college tuition, or a substantial investment portfolio in the palm of your hand. The grading process typically takes 2 to 4 weeks depending on service level, costs between $30 to $100 depending on declared value and turnaround time, and could result in certification that transforms your 25-cent coin into an $18,000 treasure. Remember that even MS-67 examples of the 1989 P quarter sell for $3,000 to $6,000, and MS-66 specimens still command $500 to $1,500. So even if your coin doesn't achieve the ultimate MS-68 grade, it could still represent a significant financial windfall. The Washington Quarter Series has become one of the hottest areas in modern numismatics precisely because these coins remain accessible. They're not ancient artifacts locked away in museums. They're not impossibly expensive gold rarities affordable only to billionaires. They're coins that regular people can still find, collect, and potentially profit from if they know what to look for and where to search. And here's the final thought to leave you with as we conclude this journey through the most valuable Washington quarters of the 1980s. Right now, at this very moment, there are probably hundreds of MS-67, MS-68, and possibly even MS-69 1980p, 1988p, and 1989p quarters sitting in old collections, forgotten mint sets, bank rolls in storage, and yes, maybe even still in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows their value, someone who takes the time to look carefully, someone who refuses to dismiss modern coins as worthless pocket change. That someone could be you, and the next time you receive quarters as change, inherit a coin collection, visit an estate sale, or sort through old family belongings, you'll know exactly what to look for, and you'll understand that fortune truly does favor those who pay attention to the small details that everyone else overlooks. So start searching, keep your eyes open, invest in a good magnifying glass and proper lighting, learn the grading standards, and never forget that the difference between 25 cents and $18,000 might be sitting right there in your pocket, your purse, or your change jar, waiting for you to discover it and change your life forever.